Over the past decade, the rise of short-form social media has drawn attention to a very distinctive presentation method called the curated aesthetic. And the idea behind that is basically intentionally arranging a particular space until the desired feeling or outcome is achieved. Usually it's grandiose or a meaningful outcome, or not. It could be, if you wish, an environment curated for agonizing pain. I don't know what you're into, but the general idea is that if the curating is done correctly, the outcome is usually an upgrade, so you're better off curating the environment than if you don't. For example, if you genuinely enjoy a vibe like this, then somebody had to intentionally curate the environment that you're in now. They did a really nice job, and the outcome is that you get to spend a relaxing day in the sun with a coffee and brunch item of your choice, feeling content with life because the vibes are immaculate. Everything's gonna be okay, and life is worth living again. Now, me, for example, the vibe I would like to drink my coffee in, if I could afford it, that is that sweet spot between not being quite sure whether or not you're in someone's unfinished building project or just a closed-off car park. I think it's called industrial brutalism. Hey, I stand corrected. You know what, whoever figured this could be an aesthetic have really saved builders a lot of money, huh? But the problem, you see, as always, is never the vibe itself, but who puts it together. Which brings us to today's topic of discussion. This is a curated cafe wave in a very specific region in China called the Yangtze River Delta, a place also known as the economic powerhouse region, known for its affluence. Home to some of the nation's richest people, the region is truly blessed by the government, to put it simply, the El Dorado of China. Now, this particular region is known to produce one specific and very powerful stereotype amongst the younger population, known as the Nepo babies of the Jiangzhou region. A group amongst one of China's most visible youth, literally, because you may know them as the wealthy international student stereotype, and the bulk of that elite will be coming from the YRD. YRD's Zhejiang, Shanghai, Jiangsu. Yes, the powerhouses. Bedtime story my mum used to tell me as a kid is that no matter how much motion I think I have, there's always a 12-year-old somewhere in the Jiangzhou region who can slime me in a band for band. But now you may have a question, or maybe not, I don't know, how presumptuous of me. What does all this yapping have to do with cafes and boutique stores? You're really testing my attention span. And to that I say, we'll get there. Look, as the economy changes, along with a slow decline in employability for bachelor's and master degrees within the Chinese job market, a question that has never plagued the international student population since probably 1982. Because, you know, there was only 800 people that got to study abroad back then, so they were all employed, obviously, by the time they got back. But now, boy, is it difficult. Hey, don't look at me like I'm causing this problem. If anything, I am alleviating the stress by keeping this brain away from employment. Now, that problem of unemployment, whether willingly or not, sparks a new wave of entrepreneurs. So then, what do you get with a bunch of ambitious graduates with westernized business ideas, with all the money in the world, who don't want to participate in the job market or take over their parents' empires because they have an artistic dream fueled, hopefully not by the following media listed below. Hopefully there's a little more substance than that behind the dream. Okay, this is going to be anticlimactic. The answer is you obviously open a boutique store and scam the local population. Okay, what we have now is a bit of a pre-law. So between the periods of 2020 to 2022, the Yangtze Delta region saw a huge explosion of these boutiques, curated theme stores. Well, who is opening these? Now, we'll focus on the cafes specifically because locals hate them. You'll typically hear a 5-minute explanation of the coffee bean's backstory followed by the casual remark, 我们这里的咖啡不一样. There will always be a cattle dog in the shop. Hey, you know what that's for? Hey, Mozart, no, I say no. Sorry, 我刚从美国回来. In this report I'm showing you now, it details that despite the pandemic, Shanghai's coffee shop count hits a record high of 7,857 by mid-2022, which I believe is actually the most in any city in the world. And we still got it. And then by late 2022, the curated store wave reached its prime as new cafes, lifestyle boutiques, concept bookstores, craft bars, designer studios opened like a tsunami. There was actually even a running joke that goes around. I threw a brick in the crowd and I hit 10 managers of a curated store. But, you know, the thing about these boutiques is obviously they were great at first. They're new, fresh, challenges traditional businesses, and the early adapters of this wave were genuinely good at what they did. But you see, as the wave grew bigger and bigger, what's undersaturated inevitably becomes oversaturated. So in order to compete, businesses need to innovate, leading to fancier ideas at first, but as it got wilder and wilder, more exaggerated, anti-human practices disguised in the name of innovation came to be. I like an iced Americano. I really like chili. But when you put them together, that's what I call a nightmare breakfast rotation. Hey sir, do you want your roast duck on top or in the coffee? What? No, you heard what I said. I said, do you want your roast duck on top or in the coffee? I don't want my roast duck in the... Hey, listen up, pal. There can only be one unemployed Nepo baby selling overpriced coffee in downtown Shanghai, scamming the local population. It ain't gonna be you. Is that right, huh? Hey, take a look around. They're doing the latest Xiaohongshu trends in my cafe, not yours. Hey, see my new special? Americano with some lemon juice and sugar. Charging them 12,000 RMB. You monster. That's what you don't understand. They're sun-dried beans from Panama. And if they start talking about how it's too expensive, they don't like it, I just tell them they're brainless and say they got no taste. You wouldn't say that. Yeah, see, it says right here in my menu. Oh, another idea just came to mind. Hey, write this down. What if we gave him a cube? Oh, that's a brilliant... No, I'm not done. And we pour coffee in the middle of the cube. What price would you like to put on the menu, sir? You see, now that's the best part. We don't even put price on the menu. They find out the hard way. That's an amazing business strategy, boss. I really think we're onto something here. In 2025, the term 主理人, also meaning director or manager, became one of the most popular memes associated with the owners of these curated cafes, because the people were really starting to despise these stores. But surprisingly, it's not because of any of the things mentioned previously. It's mainly due to the bad business practices of these fine establishments. Now, the first widespreading phenomenon of them all is the fact that this demographic of business owners insist to be called directors/managers instead of the owner or the boss of the store. I'll give you an example of what I mean, okay? So now this guy is a guy who shared that he had a subpar experience at a boutique rice noodle shop, which I didn't know that was a thing. We are getting real creative in the recession. Hey, you know what perhaps may be a bubble? When everyday street food makes it into fine dining menus. Anyways, when the manager would ignore him every time he's called boss, waiters insist, now you see, you gotta call him director or else he won't respond. Why, you know what, why stop there? Why stop at manager? I'll do one better. Why not CEO or king of the coffee shop? Or emperor perhaps, where upon entry I shall be addressed as your lordship, or else it is off with your head. What a weapon. But you know what, I get it. Let me explain the thought process behind this, because it feels like to me that the only real concern when it comes to saying you're an owner of a store kind of makes you sound like you're running one of these, you know, a mom and pop coffee shop, which sounds weak, sounds low class, not a lot of motion. Whereas manager and director title is a bit more classy and corporate, therefore in tune with the Yangtze Delta region. A lot of motion, I would say. Anything to make your food and your business sound fancy is the way to go. You know what, which is kind of funny because it's like the opposite where I am right now. Hey, my reaction upon hearing that you're the manager of a kebab shop.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Wait, boss of a kebab shop? Alright now, there could be some serious cash behind that smile. Anybody can call themselves a manager now. The person selling Chinese hamburgers, these are Chinese hamburgers. See, that's a sous-vide, slow-cooked Iberian black pork... Oh my god. A sous-vide, slow-cooked Iberian black pork belly crispy panini shop. No, I believe that's a new language. Oh, you guys gotta read this one. The person selling grilled skewers at the night market is the owner of a charcoal-grilled, sauce-flavored... I don't know what that one is, but the chief artisan of sauce and flames. You know what I mean? My palate is tantalized just reading that sentence. And my money is going to surely soon follow. But the waves and waves of memes people are making that makes fun of the practice extends beyond food. We got managers of the national highway, managers of a class. If you're unemployed, that's manager of a bed. You know what? I am sick and tired of you all calling me a YouTuber. That do sounds, matter of fact, unemployed. I am the communications manager of social affairs. Hey, are you tired of being treated nicely? Does the thought of walking into a store and hearing the words, "Welcome to our establishment," bring you pain and suffering? Do you perhaps wish for a different experience, where the customer could be always wrong? Do you want to be confused? Do you want to see how that's like? Well, if the answer is yes, then yours truly was actually at one of these cafes in Shanghai, and I was thinking about how I can tell you about my interesting experience visually, because I didn't get to film the whole process, but as it turns out, I didn't have to, as countless ironic skits have spoken for me about this phenomenon. My voice is heard. Now this one is titled "When You Accidentally Wander into a Curated Coffee Shop." You know what? Getting made a meme about accidentally going into your joint. has to be the business equivalent of being mistaken as a homeless person when you're actually just a fashion student. Anyway, so I found this on Xiaohongshu and it perfectly encapsulates at least my experience when I accidentally stumbled into one of these cafes. And it seems like a lot of people share the sentiment. Okay, this is pretty accurate. When you walk in, not only do the waiters all firstly look like regular guests, but chances are they're probably also better dressed than you, so you're at an aura disadvantage right off the bat, okay? But that's alright. The lion does not concern himself with his Temu alphabet shirt. But then it's the attitude that they'll give you when you accidentally call them waiters, because of the rule in bold text usually posted outside in the cafe entrance that they don't serve customers, only friends. That's not the end of the world. I like that because that's part of the whole vibe that they're trying to curate, you see? It is as if you're walking into one of your mates' cafes and you don't call them waiters, do you? So light work, no reaction. But then it's what happens when you sit down.
叫你啊 OK 那你们先聊我先去吧不好意思我们这边是没有 waiter 我是这家咖啡店主理人 Becky 这边都是线上点单的但是你这个菜单我一个都看不懂
Because the problem you'll notice is that the items will have an overly fancy name with a very vague description. And with no price, that's 0 out of 3 on my infotainment system. So now you gotta call them in for a debrief, and that's where the problem really begins for little old me.
不知道您对豆子有什么样的要求还有咖啡萃取风味的口感有什么样的喜好呢如果不是特别熟的话那我推荐每日主理人 special 小众特调月光下幽静的夜晚
Because 99% of the time, the conversation is firstly exclusively conducted in textbook coffee language, which means, hey, I got no idea what it means, and they will never dumb it down for you even if you ask them to, because the coffee master aura has to be maintained. You see?
不好意思顾客我们这边不太允许拍照除非您提前预约或者是交场地费
Okay, quick self-esteem check. I look like a doofus because I have inferior coffee knowledge. I'm losing face in front of the Nepo babies because I'm getting out-dripped because they all got chrome hearts and Balenciagas on. My lips are chapped because I got no coffee. Hey, at that point, I think Starbucks is looking like a real good choice. Now, I gotta say, when I actually got the drink, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. But then from what I heard from the locals, even that is a 50-50 dice roll. So, you know, in an alternate universe somewhere, there's a me out there who went through all that shit just to taste the most mid coffee he's ever tasted in his goddamn life. Like this skit right now. Now that is crazy. But what that experience does tell me, though, is that unless you are really into coffee and yearn for a discussion, and really want to be friends with the owners, the average customer would probably not step foot into one of these stores for the second time. You know what? The locals have actually given the act of actually paying for an item in one of these boutique stores a very interesting name. It's called paying an IQ tax. Because half the time you visit these stores, the running gag is that the fancy menu items you see are essentially just the most basic item said in a fancy way. You know what? This kind of reminds me of that one joke I heard, right? It goes like this. So I walked into a fancy restaurant in Vienna, spent 500 euros ordering 2 dishes. It's been 1 hour though, and my food has not come. So I call the waitress only to find out that I ordered 2 piano songs.